Queens Clock In. It's my city council debate recap. Now, city council hasn't really been my thing. I spent a whole lot of time being nosy in Harris County Commissioner's Court. While looking for something entirely differently, I ran across an article about the candidates, and I saw one person that really wowed me, and another person that really concerned me, especially when I found out which party they were affiliated with. I saw lots of language in their interview that concerned me. So I said, you know what? I better go take a look. So I did. The debate was put on by the Houston Progressive Caucus, and they did a great job. The moderators were great, the space was great, and they had some really, really good questions. So thanks to them. And just to cut to the chase, I left the debate feeling even more firm in my original suspicions. And when I say suspicions, I'm not saying they're a serial killer. I'm just saying, One of the things that I did while listening to the debate was I clocked how many times the candidate said something like unique and progressive versus who was, giving me a whole lot of nothing. And I also clocked when someone said something that was maybe not true or omitting something that I think is pertinent, or just like didn't answer the question at all, kind of just like flowered it up, but didn't really directly answer the question. That's always a problem for me. Not that they don't have an answer, but that they try to fill in the space without saying that they don't have an answer. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, you know what, nothing, or I don't know, or I'll give it some thought, or this is why I'm choosing not to answer that question, whatever it is, something, baby, some kind of acknowledgement. So, now remember, there's 15 candidates total. 3 of them were featured in this debate, and 3 other ones happened to be there as well. So the 3 people featured are Dwight Boykins, who's a former city councilman, Alejandra Salinas, who is a lawyer, and her firm actually fought against Trump in one of the election cases, and Jordan Thomas, who actually was an aide, chief of staff, or something underneath the 2 predecessors to this seat that he's running for now. Now, as they were doing their introduction, Jordan Thomas was the first to go. And what he did was he actually offered up his time to allow the 3 other candidates who were not featured to introduce themselves to the audience. And I thought that was a power move, a nice gesture. And as soon as he said that, Ms. Salinas also offered up her time as well. And the moderators ended up allowing the 3 people that were there to introduce themselves to the audience. And then they each went on to introduce themselves with their full time. So I thought that was nice of the moderators to allow that as well. And 3 people that were there, Ethan Hale, Dr. Kathy Tatum, and also Chris Wright. There were a lot of good questions, but for time's sake, I'm going to focus on 2 questions. And if there's any topics that you're interested in that I didn't cover in these 2 questions, let me know in the comments. Or even if you think you want to just hear the rest of the questions anyways, let me know and I'll make a separate video. But I want to keep this one short. The first question was on structural deficit, and it was basically asking the candidates, how can we make sure that we keep the cost of living low for residents? And as you know I have made a video on the Houston budget. I've talked about why our taxes are so high, and the reality is that our taxes are high because we don't have state income, and our corporations don't pay taxes. We pay them. Dwight Boykins was the first person to answer, and essentially he said that, look, our city taxes are the lowest portion of our property taxes, and he's right. He said, he's asked people to take out their bill and take a look and see what the heavy hitters are, and the heavy hitters are HISD and HCC, and he is absolutely right. He also mentioned that the revenue cap that I know I've talked about several times is killing us, and the revenue cap we've had on Houston has been in place since 2004, and it was made even tighter in 2019 when the Texas GOP implemented another revenue cap for everyone. The first revenue cap was a citywide one. The one we're under now is statewide. But ultimately, he basically just said that it falls on HISD and HCC, and he's not wrong. And that was pretty much it. I don't think he really gave any resolutions. Salinas was next, and she agreed with Mr. Boykins that yes, our taxes are extremely low in comparison to other large cities. And again, it is probably the smallest portion of our property tax bill. She said that we needed to try to bring in additional revenue. She said that we could hire a grant coordinator. She said she had found out that we have multiple departments applying for the same grants. Also, she made a point throughout her answers that we need to be focused on bringing in grant dollars, tax dollars from the state and also the federal government. By working with the federal government and the state, that is how she intends to bring more dollars in and, as a result, keep property taxes lower. My concern there is, I wonder if Ms. Salinas understands the political climate that we're in right now. I also wonder if she understands that Texas does not like Houston or Harris County for a variety of reasons. But we're in a completely different ballgame where working with the federal government is probably not going to be an option right now. Jordan said that the reason why our taxes are so high is because of our land development pattern. And he's not wrong. I've talked about it on multiple videos. They're building way too much, way too far out. And the city and the county both spend the majority of their infrastructure money and the majority of their funding on taking care of those new communities that these developers are building on the outskirts. He said that we need to focus on building on land that we own here in the city, and also probably changing some of the building codes so we can build differently and build at a lower cost. That way we can have more people instead of everyone spread out in these one-story, single plot lands, but start building up for multi-living purposes and just building in a way where you can fit more people. And I thought that was 100% true. To me, that showed me that he fully understood the issues and that he had a game plan. It won't be instantaneous, but it could be a robust change that would have long-term benefits to reducing the tax bill. And he gave examples in other cities where they already had started using different building codes in order to capture more tax dollars with less land and less further out development. The next question was on Trump and the deportations that are happening with ICE. The moderators basically were asking, okay, what's up? What's happening? And how do we stop it? Selena said that this was something that was very close to her heart. Her great-grandfather was from Mexico, and she gave a little background on him. Said that she had a relative who was recently detained for several hours. She says that what ICE is doing is unacceptable, and it shouldn't be happening. She said she will stand up and speak out against it. She said we need to fight strategically and with lawsuits. Now keep in mind, Selena is a lawyer. She also says that we have to be practical and that we have to work with HPD to do the right thing, whatever the fuck that means. And I'm going to read this next part directly. But we have to figure out what we can do within the laws that they have passed in Austin that preclude us from taking steps in cities. But she says she will always stand up. Jordan comes out and immediately says that yes, Trump is a threat. And worse than that is the silence that we hear from City Hall. He says we aren't supposed to be working with ICE. And he's not wrong. He quotes the Houston Chronicle as providing evidence that it's clear that we are working with ICE. And the city's response was no comment. And I need to look for that article myself. It mentions that in 2020 there was a general order issued to HPD by probably the police chief that we don't go hunting for undocumented people. That's not our job. We're not doing that. And Jordan wants to codify that into a city ordinance. What I really like here is that Jordan said explicitly, this is not just about undocumented immigrants because they will eventually come for all of us. And he's 100% right. We're seeing evidence of this already. Boykin says that we are a diverse city. He says that the White House shouldn't be breaking up families. He says that if we find out that money is being used in order to work with the White House and the administration in this way, that as a city council, they should look to start cutting like the budget of those departments that are doing that. Overall, if you are a progressive or someone who aligns himself with progressive policies, then you should vote for Jordan Thomas, because that's who I'm going to vote for. That's where my donation money is going. When I originally read the article that prompted me to go to this event, I thought that Alejandra Salinas, based on her interview, was a Republican. She talked a lot about public safety and violent crime, and that's something for me, it's a red flag. Either she's trying to come off as moderate so that she can get elected, or those are her real values. Either way, this is not the political climate for moderates. She's essentially, to me, she's John Whitmire. There were several things that she said that makes me believe that she is going to prioritize developers and business owners, basically the same people that are investing all this money into our elections, the conservatives. I feel like she's going to be paying a lot of attention to them and their needs. And we've had enough of that, Houston and Harris County. We've had enough of that. There were news articles today released saying that Salinas and Boykins are leading in donations and endorsements. And that for me is not, that means nothing to me. We cannot afford to have people in place right now who are playing the moderate game. Things are about to get weird, and we don't have time. I believe that electing Salinas is going to be electing a John Whitmire. And you see how Whitmire is silent with the things that are happening right now with Abbott. Also, the entire debate is online under the Houston Progressive Caucus YouTube website. So go take a look for yourself and see if you found the same things that I saw. If you are a progressive or you align with progressive policy, then you need to go donate to Jordan Thomas's campaign, and you need to start making some noise about him. Now, all right?